Peace to the family. Peace, love, and light. Peace. Peace. Greetings, peace to you and yours.
Hey.
Peace. Yes, indeed. Peace to the family on this lovely day. Yes, indeed. I want to tap in and take you on a nature walk. Yes, indeed. I figured that we could all use some nature. We could all use a walk through nature, some peace in our day. Peace is underrated. Yeah, there's a whole healing modality that's built into peace that's being overlooked. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole healing modality that's being overlooked that's built into peace. And nature and peace are synonymous. And you can find peace in nature, in these natural settings. Good day, how are you? Take care. I go around and I talk to people all day. And sometimes they talk back and sometimes they don't. And I'm totally okay with that. Because I'm at peace, right? And who wants to be in a peaceful environment and you're not talking to people, right? You're not talking to people like they're people, then you're missing the point altogether. And if you notice, I'm up here, I'm pushing peace. People asking me what I think about Young Thug. I'm gonna say that for the people who he was impacting with his music that promoted his lifestyle, he's gonna need a lot of prayer from them, right? To keep his butt out the penitentiary. You feel me? And I guess, at some point, we can make a broader observation of that. Because Young Thug is a very pivotal persona. He's a very pivotal personage in this pursuit, post Trayvon Martin, this pursuit of punctuating in our reality what manhood is, you know what I'm saying? What our values are in order to determine whether somebody's high value or not, right? Then you have to determine, what is the value system in our society. Shout out to my brother 19 Keys. I didn't see the entire episode that he did with EYL, but it was right on time. And he was speaking about the fact that the culture that we do have in this particular culture, we need to do away with that culture. You know what I'm saying? Altogether, because it's detrimental. It's not a culture that we could even speak of that is complementary to us going forward as a people. It's one that is of detriment to us as a people. Mainly because it promotes, poison. It promotes toxicity. The peas that it pushes is actually poison. And how long are our people going to align themselves with things that are that are poisonous and expect to get something, you feel me? Something of, how do you expect to profit from that? How do you expect to get a return on your investment, right? That's a profit. A return on your investment is a profit. What are you investing? You're investing time and you're investing energy, right? And the result of the investment of time and energy is art. Shout out to Jose Arguelles and the Law of Time. The investment of time and energy is art. But if the art that you're producing, you're spending time and energy in a studio session, right? You're spending time and energy in a studio session, and you're crystallizing something that will exist forever and reverberate throughout the cosmos, right? But if the time and the energy that you are putting together, that you're coalescing together to create a jewel from that is actually a crystal, that is actually a piece of art, that in this case might be music. You feel me? If that music is poisonous, if that music is toxic, if that music is putrid, you know what I'm saying? Then you have created something that could potentially be destructive even beyond your appointed time on this planet. You feel me? You have done the devil's work. And let's simplify it when we say the devil. Let's say confusion. Let's say chaos. Let's say Isfet, right? And Kemet. They called the serpent, the great serpent. You know, that was their idea of what we in this society call the devil. That energy always dealt with confusion, disruption, disorder, unbalance, right? Just toxic stuff. It wasn't a productive, orderly, balanced, energy neutral approach towards things. It was confusion, it was chaos. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, again, in order to establish a conversation around what high value this or high value that is, then we have to establish, right? We have to establish what exactly are our values to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Because when you establish what the values are, then you can gauge who is complementary, right? You can gauge and measure who is complementary to that particular goal or objective. What's the goal and objective? Allegedly, supposedly, in our community, that we're all pushing one another forward on a trajectory that we can what? That we could penetrate a new tax bracket, that we could penetrate a particular, a new strata of class or status, right? That we could get to the bag, that you should all touch $1 billion before you check up out of here. What is the goals and what are the objectives? Because once you know what those are, then again, you could properly gauge or measure who's performing in that particular paradigm, right? To say, oh, this is consistent with a person, you know, scaling up or moving forward, or this person is, you know, ahead of the pack. This person is leading the trend, or whatever this shit is, right? So it's impossible for us to have a conversation about high value men and high value women if we don't have an established understanding of what value entails, period. Because a culture that doesn't value health is a dying culture. A culture that doesn't value the children in that culture as the future is a dying culture. A culture that doesn't value functional relationships amongst men and women is a dying culture. A culture that doesn't value saving, right, is a dying culture. A culture that doesn't value utilizing the latest information, right, to even get to the bag. So even the game that entails the bag has changed, right? It's no longer the fiat game. It's a crypto game. It's a digital game. And it's no longer about the bag. It's about the suitcase. And we not even involved in that conversation. That's a dying culture, right? A culture that doesn't edify and protect its women, right? And we know that the women are the cornerstone of the family, the cornerstone of society, the cornerstone of the nation. That's a dying culture. So how are people so engaged and enthralled in this conversation that's taking place in public about high value this or high value that, if we're not a culture, we're not a people, a society that even built on agreeable value systems. We don't even have an agreed upon value system. We don't know what value is. We know the cost of everything, but we know the value of nothing, right? I could be blinged out. Right? Crazy. I could be blinged out crazy. I could have all kind of bling on me. And the only thing people is going to see is the cost. How much did that cost you? You know what I'm saying? What did you pay for that? Oh, that looks expensive. The value could be in the spiritual medicinal properties that's in these gems. The value could be in, and the fact that it's tied into something that's a little bit more ancestral and royal, right? The value could be built into the actual cultural exchanges taking place. The value can be found in so many other things rather than just the cost. You feel me? But we don't have a conversation about intrinsic value in our community because that's not even language that we speak. That's not even a language that we speak. So if we don't even speak that language, if we're not even introduced to these concepts, again, how do we find ourselves in this particular, this part where we are engaging in these conversations in public about high value men and high value women in the ways in which we gauge and measure ourselves, if we don't even have the principles understood? We haven't even gotten past the foundation of saying what exactly are our values, because we don't have values in our community. We don't have values in our society. We don't have values in our people that speak to the things that are valuable in life. And the most valuable thing in life, as we just witnessed the past 2.5 years, is health, right? Because you can have all the money in the world. You feel me? You can have all the money in the world and is necessarily not able to buy, right, your exclusive pass till tomorrow, because your pass till tomorrow is an exclusive one, right? And nobody know when they passport ain't gonna get stamped. You feel me? Don't nobody know when your passport is not going to be stamped for you to come back into this life, because every single night we die. It's called a somatic death. You can look it up, Google it, right? It sounds, you can spell it how it sounds, somatic. Every single day we die. And at the mercy of the Most High, right, we are granted entry back into this life, and we're at the mercy of a mechanism. We're at the mercy of some mechanics that we don't yet understand. Meaning, when I go to sleep at night, I'm not responsible necessarily for me waking up. I'm at the mercy of whatever is responsible. Can y'all hear me now? Can y'all hear me? Just tell me yes. Oh, okay. Oh, excellent. God is good. God is good. Because I got a phone call. I had to do not disturb on, and I got a whole call that came through, and normally that'll knock out my audio, but God is good. He wants me to get this message through. So I'm not responsible for waking up every morning, even if I feel like I did everything humanly possible the right way today, right? I checked all of my boxes. You know what I'm saying? I did everything. I took all of my herbs, did 100 push-ups. You feel me? I gave my lady 3 rounds, and I went to sleep And I still didn't get to wake up. I got a bad deal out of it, right? I'm not responsible. I'm not the one who's necessarily driving that decision daily. I'm at the mercy of whatever it is. So when I wake up, same like when you wake up, you already won half the battle. You know what I'm saying? It's like whoever's responsible for doing the heavy lifting, they've already done the heavy lifting. The only thing that you have to do with your day is fashion a capstone to put on that pyramid, because somebody's done the heavy lifting already. The fact that you woke up and you got here, you defied the odds. You know what I'm saying? And your probability for some amazing shit to happen for your life, it's a 99% probability, right? You got here, made it to another day. That's a whole clean slate. Whatever I did yesterday don't even matter today. Technically, it's a new day. And there are a lot of people that I'm hearing stories about, friends of mine, associates that I know. A lot of people are transitioning right now. And they're transitioning in their sleep peacefully. And there's no warning signs. There's no warning signs whatsoever. These people, they have lived a pretty congruent life. They've done all of the things that, technically we're supposed to do to secure our health and to secure or stake our, our continuance in this life. I did all the right things. You know what I'm saying? I did this right. I did that right. I deserve to be here tomorrow. I got my kids I got to look after. I got these plans I want to motherfucking carry out. Right? I'm passionate. I love my people. We check all the boxes. We do all of the prerequisite things. And people still not making it. For whatever reason. Right? They just not waking up. So the fact that you woke up, you feel me? The fact that you got here today to give it a whole nother chance, we need to have a whole nother level of gratitude, because maybe that will reestablish our value, right? Maybe if we value the gift of life that is not promised, right? Maybe if we became fanatical about that, every single day being in so much gratitude and so much appreciation just for this opportunity to be part of this thing that we say is a defunct script, that is off track. We have so many complaints about life. This ain't going right. That ain't going right. I don't like this. I don't like... Well, nigga, what do you like? What do you like? Make a list of that shit and make sure that that's the first thing that you speak into the universe when you do get up. I'm appreciative of this. Find yourself finding at least a dozen things that you can tell the universe that you're thankful for, that you're appreciative, that you got tapped back in to participate in. Because I'm sure that there's a trillion other spirits, right, that might want to take your place. You got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You don't know if you want to be here. Nigga, if you here, you want to be here. You just want to be dealt with different while you here, right? I ain't never met nobody that technically don't want to be here. You feel me? Or they tapped out. If you still here, you just want to be dealt with different, right? You want an adjustment on how you dealt with in life, right? I don't think that nobody's don't like the whole... very rarely are you just meeting people that's just totally fed up with living life. They're fed up with the conditions that they're living life under. But the mechanics, breathing, I gotta take a shit every day. I get to eat food. You know what I'm saying? Get a good rest. Feel me? You know, I don't think that necessarily plays out. It's the things that's in between. It's the things that's in between to wear people out that they be like, yo, I had enough of that, right? My heart can't sustain how other people on the planet have received me and I've put out nothing but love, but I haven't got it equally in return. Those are the things that'll make a person want to tap out, right? People die from a lack of appreciation more than anything. Matters of the heart, where the heart disease is the number one leading candidate that takes our people out. And the shit is not only from pulmonary heart disease, meaning that it's not only because you eat a lot of fatty foods with lipids and stuff and things are just clogging up your arteries. A lot of people transition from broken hearts. We have a lot of heart conditions and situations in our community because of letdown, because of lack of appreciation, because of broken hearts, because things don't live up to their truest potential. You know, people, they put a lot of helium in people's hearts and blow the shit up like a balloon only to pop it, right? When they let them down. And people don't always know how to land on their feet. So a motherfucker could have a crash landing with bad knees and never get up from that. And that's the condition that you find them in, and they dying like they suffering like that. They're already like living dead. And they just waste away. You know? And it don't matter how much you dress it up. You can't value a man by the clothes that he wears. You can't value him by the fucking pedigree of cologne that he puts on, or the car that he drives, or the house that he lives in, right? He could have all of the material trappings and still be piss poor inside, right? He could be defunct. He could be devoid. He could be debased. You feel me? And we getting caught up in these illusions and we volunteering for them, right? Because we never was taught value. So for people that never had a conversation on value, the nerve of us to be in public having these drawn out conversations about how I value this and how I value that, and you was never even taught the worth of a woman, let alone her value. Nigga, nobody even told you what that thing swinging between your legs was worth, let alone its value, for you to motherfucking treat it like it's gold. Nobody even told you the science of the womb for you to treat it like it's sacred. But you want to talk about values. And then you want to act like somebody's embarrassing you because you talking about this shit in public like you got some fucking secrets. Nigga, you've been engineered socially to do the goofy shit that you doing for entertainment. You don't got no secrets. You're predictable. Nigga, are you serious? Are you serious? Somebody put a battery in your back and convince you that dysfunction was sexy, nigga. And you made a culture, you built a culture around that shit. Of fucking decimating women. She was already down systematically. They tripped her up. And you came and put your motherfucking, your foot on her throat. You George Floyd her in public. Nigga made her of a crackhead to buy some Jordans. And the nigga turned around and made billions of dollars of your ass going to prison. Even if that wasn't the Michael Jordan that owned prison stocks, nigga. You know how many niggas I know that went to prison because they wanted some motherfucking Jordans that started selling goddamn crack cocaine? Huh? He might as well have got some stocks. Huh? It was that easy. Because we was never taught motherfucking value. How dare you niggas have conversations in public about value systems? And niggas is still selling crack cocaine. And then people want to ask me, what do I think about These gremlin ass niggas out here in Atlanta, the personified trap music, getting caught up for the same shit that they rapping about. Well, I mean, what am I supposed to think about it? Right? But in the society, in the culture, those individuals are considered the highest of value because of their contributions to the toxicity factor of this culture. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Right? So it's obvious, like in Atlanta, the chickens is coming home to roost in Atlanta. This is a feminine grid. I've been saying that for the longest. It's the feminine grid. It's on the 33rd parallel. Right? And just this year alone, we can see that this grid has been very unapologetic It has been very unapologetic to melanated men, in particular, in positions of leadership, right? They have utilized their positions of power to pimp and prostitute the feminine energy. Right? Think about it. Think about it. I'll run down the list. You can fill in the blanks. Because I ain't going to catch everybody. Right? And this is just an overview. This is just an overview. Right? Remember, I'm just making an observation. And I'm providing an overview. Okay? So we got Nature Boy. Right? We got Nature Boy. We had a member of this community who wasn't directly in Atlanta when he committed these egregious acts against a minor, but he's recognized as somebody that comes from this community, the brother Patar. Right? And then you got the brother Rashad Jamal. He just got locked up on an incident involving inappropriate behavior towards a minor. Now, I'm not acting as judge and jury and saying whether people is innocent or not. I'm identifying the energy that we've been seeing manifested connected to this particular land grid called Atlantis. Right? Then you got Kevin Samuels, right? A few weeks or a few days after and now you got Young Thug and Gunna, right? A nigga who popularized the co-opting of the divine feminine principle. It's like, there's enough women in Atlanta, nigga, where you don't gotta be another woman putting on a dress with the fingernail polish shit. Now, I know all of y'all, or a lot of y'all think that the fingernail polish shit is metrosexual and, you know, that's not lines, you know. You know a nigga with black nail polish and he's straight and all that shit. Alright, cool. You know a nigga with cherry blossom red dreads and he got mad shorties and daughters and all of that. And he loves women. Hey, to each his own. I'm just making an observation. You feel me? Just making an observation. So, yeah, punk rock shit. All that. All that toxic shit, yeah. All that toxic shit, right? You hitting your shorty in the head with a guitar because you really love her. And all that shit. All that Tommy Lee shit that y'all was fucking idolizing. All that shit. Feel me? So we kind of see, like, you know, there's a lot taking place with the divine feminine energy, you know, the way the Big Mom is showing up and kind of putting people, sitting them down on seats, right? It's like nobody's getting bail, or you permanently checking up out of here, and your legacy is left in limbo. You feel me? But it's a lot going on. And there's a lot of people in the community that's all of a sudden talking about divine feminine this and divine feminine that and Big Mama. And, you know, it's going to be a long summer. It's going to be a long summer. There's going to be a lot more taking place. You know, especially if you come up underneath that banner, but you fraudulent. It's going to come out. Because it's almost like the new niggas is like the same gremlin, just gremlin in itself. Right? Because you go to the broader conversation, you could put Polite in there, you could put Young Pharaoh in there, and a host of other niggas in the community that you might not know about. Right? They all fit under that designation of having these weird sexual allegations pertaining to them dealing with women and children in particular. Feel me? And they all spring from a common root. I'm not going to mention that root on live, because I definitely know niggas are getting their feelings. We're going to leave it alone. Right? And that common thread also runs a through line through Atlanta, if you really think about it. So there's been a lot going on here with this Atlantis energy, this resurgence energy, you know. In the whole act, one of the nicknames of Atlanta is resurgent, right? Another name for Atlanta is resurgent, RESURGEN. You could look it up, right? So again, this mystical mountain, this enchanted forest, this on top of a mystical mountain, this located at the 33rd parallel. This is a very divine, feminine grid, okay? But you really have to be able to respectfully work with the energy of divinity and femininity coming into this particular this grid, this spectrum, right? Thank you. Because Big Mama don't play. She don't play about hers. And there's big plans for Atlantis. Atlantis has to resurge. Atlantis is resurging right now. If you go into the research and you look at all of the ancient places where they said that Atlantis existed, all of those places have ancient monuments that are reemerging right now, resurfacing. There's a whole resurging movement going on with ancient artifacts and relics and monuments and temples And so many things are being unearthed and coming to the surface right now because Atlantis as a metaphor, but also as a material plane, is making itself known. It's manifesting itself, right? The things that were once hidden are now coming to the surface, right? The ancient past is now merging presently to create this ancient future. And the things that were once relics and archaic and only the things of mystery and lore, all of those things are like accessible right now, right? They're accessible. So with them, you know, there's a lot of things that are being unearthed and unveiled and coming from the watery bottoms represented by Piscean energy. You know, Jupiter being home in Pisces, all of that stuff. Pisces represents the spiritual depths, you know, the deep dark shit. That watery world, that a shout out to Aquarius Maximus. She speaks on it like that. You feel me? Yes, the divine feminine, the woman, the woman herself is going through re-earthing and rebirthing period during this particular time. That's why I understand the celebration and the death of Kevin Samuels to a particular strata of women is going to represent a rebirth and a resurgence in them as well. It's gonna represent like what they showed you on the Multiverse of Madness, or the Madness Multiverse, whatever that was with Doctor Strange. You know, the Scarlet Witch, the emergence of the Scarlet Witch, Kali Ma, right? Sekhmet, the woman who has now been impassioned by the belief that she catches bodies spiritually on an astral plane of niggas who speak ill on her name, is going to invigorate a segment of society, right? Now that they have, in their minds, clipped the Godfather, okay? They're going to go for all of the minions as well. So it's going to be all out civil war in this community, right? As we move into a hot girl summer. And we need to reconvene and have an emergency town hall meeting so we could at least get a mutual understanding amongst people who are the allies and the niggas who very well may need to be the ops, right? Because somebody got to do it. Somebody got to do it. Right? And again, more so than anything, right? Because it's not niggas making pleas or making allegiances as much as it is saying that, oh, because y'all want to have this conversation so much about relationships, we need to have this relationship conversation in the town forum setting, right? So we could establish exactly what values is. In the way that you can consecrate an understanding or gauge an understanding or even developed a conversation around values is that you have to have a collectivized vision, right? What are the goals and objectives of us as a people, as a community? That's how you could gauge what the value system is. Where are we going with this, right? Are we having children? We raising these babies? We raising them to be bitches and niggas or gods and goddesses? What we doing? We raising them to be variations of Kardashians, right? Or we raising these little niggas to be Young Thug? What we doing? Right? So Nature's removing a lot of the disruption out of the way so you can recalibrate yourself and vie to control the narrative. You can make a play to control the narrative. Okay? Because yes, as long as there's a Young Thug on the scene, your children are going to be slap, pushing slime and pushing peas, nigga. That's what time it is. He is the Pied Piper of the children. I mean, Future really is, right? Shout out to Pluto. But Young Thug and them is the minions, right? These are the minions. These are the lieutenants. Future's the general. These are his underbosses. And then Young Thug got mad underbosses under him, right? With that slack. You dig? So you're gonna see a lot of interesting things as people recalibrate the chessboard and jockey for position to fill vacuums. These are the only times that you have to vie for the control of narrative. The narrative is now up in the air because the niggas who set the standards, right, they got sat down for a second. So how do you rush in to recalibrate the narrative? Because this is the script that your babies is following. This is the programming, right, that is programming the future. Right? Yeah, Feds did a sweep. You know what I'm saying? So Future would be the Kevin Samuels of trap. He would be the Kevin Samuels of the slat. He's the Kevin Samuels of the slimes. He's the Kevin Samuels of what y'all call toxic masculinity, right? He's the Kevin Samuels of hip hop, nigga. You feel me? So the little homies, right? Free the homies. The little homies got booked, but the Godfather's still around. You know what I'm saying? In this particular paradigm of the manosphere, Kevin Samuels died, you know, but his message lives on, and there's going to be a resurgence. There's going to be a million minions that spring forth from that particular well because the narrative is now up in the air. And if you can't properly juxtapose it and crack the back on it to reestablish it in a short amount of time, you're going to lose the ability to suck the air out of, you know, the room. Because it's going to get convoluted by so much arguments. You feel me? That it's just going to be a summer of civil war. No, I do not think that the feds did a sweep on Thug and then the feds turned around or the CIA took out Kevin Samuels. No, nigga. Right? The highest value man is a healed and healthy one. Okay? No. Why don't we call it shit? Why don't we ever call shit for what it is? Why don't we ever call it shit for what it is? Why are we always looking at things and attempting as best we can to ascribe whole different meanings than the ones that are very clear and cut, nigga? Right? My dude, he had an unhealthy diet of Red Bulls every single day, which is going to, especially for melanated men in his age bracket, right? It has known to have detrimental effects on blood pressure and things of that nature, right? If he had a blue pill along with that, and that young lady was giving him the business, Why is that probably not enough to push a nigga over the edge? You know what I'm saying? We don't know what his internal disposition was. But I'm sure that since everybody seems to be in every other aspect of this man's life, you know, with a microscope, right? When the toxicology report comes out by way of the autopsy, you'll also get to see what is the high value of somebody who's living, you know, an internalized healthy lifestyle. Because again, the only value that should be ascribed in society at this particular point is one that's centered around health. Because you can have all the money in the world, right? That does not equate to value. Your value is the fact that you're here with your family and you're able to father these children and you're able to love on your wife. And yes, if you left something behind, you know what I'm saying, during your transition and you're able to establish generational wealth, so be it. You did an amazing fucking thing. But I'm sure that your children want you here. That's the most important thing to them. I'm sure that if you was here to delegate your business affairs, you would be a lot more effective. Now, make sure that you do take out life insurance, you know what I'm saying, and get your investments in order, and you know, subscribe to EYL so you can get your money markets down. I seen an amazing program last night with the brother Ian. I strongly suggest that. Get your finances in order, but do not ever overlook health. Because again, if nothing told us, like the pandemic, that health was the most valued asset class in this world, nigga, you just was watching all that motherfucking TV and not seeing nothing. You missed the whole conversation, right? The highest value man is a healed and healthy one. Why? Because if you're healed, then the advice that you're given is not going to be given from a place of dereliction, right? Your dereliction is that you haven't necessarily healed from your pain, so you can only speak from your pain body. Feel me? You can only speak through your pain body. And then when you speak through your pain body, you are inviting trauma bonds with other people who have not done the work and healed their pain body. And there's more people in society that have not done the work versus the people who have. Why would those women continuously pull up to this man's? It's like, look, I don't know how many of y'all been locked out, right? Or locked up. But when you locked up, right, you can make a concoction or a device, right, that's very septic, and you shit an officer down with it, right? When they come on the tier, you mix it up. It got feces and urine in it and other chemicals, and you spray it on the officer. You feel me? You shit them down. It's called shitting them down, right? An officer would have to be a maniac or somebody who is just in love with a whole different level of type of abuse if that officer came on the tier every single night just to volunteer himself to get shit down, thinking that the inmates is going to do something different. And you don't even put a shield up. You don't take no necessary precautions to not get shit down on, and you got it done to you the night before. Nigga, you crazy. You feel me? Yeah. So the manosphere expertly shows you that it's not, you cannot value a man according to money, because these niggas is grown children with bank, right? And they're enacting out the shit that happened to them when they was in 5th grade that they have not healed from, right? They're still trying to get back Tasha Rumper, the shorty that was in the motherfucking Outkast song, right? Because she gave a jock some pussy before she gave it to you, and you was a nerdy nigga with the tape on your glasses. It was a no-go, nigga. Get over it. But now you got some motherfucking crypto money, and you want to be out here living out your 50 Shades of Grey fantasy. Weird ass nigga. Yeah. And it's a whole community of you fucking niggas. Right? Because there was fuck niggas. Y'all was raised in uncircumscribed situations. Yeah, and them niggas need ayahuasca, and they need to go down to Central America and meet Pachamama underneath fucking hallucinogens, nigga. Yeah. Yeah. And this shit got a lot to it all correlates. It all correlates. You know what I'm saying? It all correlates. The shit that we seen Whack 100 doing a few days prior to that, all of this shit ties into, you feel me, the influx of men who are now on the planet in positions of power, pushing propaganda when they were born and perpetuated out of situations that was very much lopsided in regards to their parenting. Who raised these niggas is the number one question that should be asking. Who raised these niggas? You feel me? And we sitting around listening to them. That man's mama said, I learned about the passing of her son on social media. You feel me? He didn't have the dignity in life to make sure that his mama found out in a dignified way, the way that he checked up out of here. That's how you know that he had issues with her. Because she found out shit on the internet about him before he died. She must have found out shit on the internet that he felt about her that either he wasn't able to tell her or he told her in ways that she didn't hear it until she heard that shit on the internet. I'm willing to put some money on it. I'm willing to put some money on it. And y'all will find out, like all fucking things that happen once we speak on them after the fact. But just take my word on this shit. He had a dysfunctional relationship with his mama and his aunties, right? And the woman in his life that took his virginity at a very young age. He never healed from that. Y'all don't know how to tell motherfucking trauma when you see it. But then you want to pull up to this man looking to see if he can heal you from your trauma, and he ain't healed yet. He ain't healed yet. And he ain't trying to get healed. He's trying to gloss that shit over with some Red Bull, right? Find the energy to give you what you want so he could ultimately give you what you need. And where he's giving you what you need, right? It's advice from a very, very painful place, but it took somebody suffering the way that he suffered to say some of the shit that he had to say, devoid of anybody's feelings, because a lot of that shit has some truth in it, right? We don't like how it was said, but we cannot walk away from this conversation and say, oh, a lot of that shit was, no, a lot of it was not fake or false or quote unquote incorrect. It was not. Yeah, and he had a problem that Fiat couldn't solve. And that's the point that I'm making, right? Fiat cannot compensate for your health. It can't. It won't. So Kevin Samuels is a crystallized expression of the melanated man, right, who has been properly conditioned in a westernized world, right? He is an anglicized African. He is an anglicized African, and he's speaking to the social condition that we are all tethered to and participate in, right? And it was shown to us in the movie Us, right? Hands Across America. This is a system that he was able to master, but it's not our system. You feel me? And he was giving men instructions who have also found a very, incongruent way to participate in a system that was not built for them. It was not built with them in mind. You know what I'm saying? I found this very interesting article, and I highly, highly recommend and suggest it. And we're going to be juxtaposing, some conversations from this place, because they hit this on the head. Hold on. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Give me 1 second. So, Nature Helps Mental Health research says, but only for rich white people, right? So, this research came out, okay? And this, again, is second what I've been saying for the longest fucking time, right? Be very careful when you read medical or scientific research papers, because none of them factor in, except the botched job that they did with the Jabbington, right? They had to include some melanated people in that research so they could finesse niggas to get in that junk in their arm, right? But no other medical research, right, factors you in as a factor. They're telling you shit about Europeans who have different biology, physiology, and societal needs than you do. They've been conditioned totally different. You feel me? So this article says so many things, but they have an acronym that I think we need to visit. This particular acronym, right? It tells a lot about even a TV show or movie that we had grown up on, people in my generation, called Weird Science, right? Remember Weird Science, y'all? Y'all remember Weird Science? They had that white woman with the brunette hair that all of y'all was into. So the acronym for Europeans is WEIRD. Western educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic. Right? Weird Science. We've been getting the results of Weird Science fed to us through their medical and scientific journals. Right? We don't factor into none of their research. They're not including us. We're not inclusive. Right? We're not factored in. We're not looked at as being represented when they speak about Americans. Nigga, you're not part of that equation. Okay? At all. You're not a factor in their research. They're talking to you. They're not including you in the conversation. Right? You're a BIPOC. Black, indigenous, people of color communities were strongly underrepresented. Over 95% of studies occurring in high-income Western nations in North America, Eastern Europe, and East Asia, or Westernized nations such as South Africa. Right? There's only one country in all of Africa that they consider to be an industrialized Western nation, and that's South Africa. South Africa is Europe in Africa. Okay? So it's the same thing with these cultural dynamics, right? That the system was not made for you. The country was not made for you, right? The way that they interact and the way that they interface is specific to their gene type, right? To how they socialize, to how they eat, right? They set up community and society based on these things. How you live, how you eat. You feel me? How you socialize. None of these things are factoring in you. You're on the outskirts. You're dealing with urbanization. Right? I think I got a whole nother article on urbanization that I could juxtapose into this one and makes it a broader conversation. Let me see where it's at. I've got so much information and articles. It's in here somewhere. Look, this is another one. When they're speaking a whole new conversation now because of science. The fact that every time they make a new discovery, they got to push timelines all the way back, all the way back. Now they at the 2 million mark, right? Now they at the 2 million mark. Right? So you gotta again be cognizant of who they talking about, what they talking about. We know that they don't have a 2 million year timeline on this planet. We know they can't possibly be talking about themselves. So who are they talking about? You feel me? Anyway, I don't wanna lose the momentum of this conversation. You know, I wanna be laser focused with the target, and I mean that is laser focused as much as I'm saying that if they have food guidelines, if they have any sort of guidelines, any sort of things that they establish in society, right, it's not measured or based on any of your needs or your wants, because you're not even factored into that equation. You know what I'm saying? They are not speaking to you at all unless they got something to sell. But they're not in the business of telling you who you are, what your past is, you know, what's good for you, how to save your goddamn relationships. None of those things. They're not in the business of that. They're not qualified to do it, and they're not trying or attempting to, right? Because even if they attempted to, they're still not qualified to do it. You feel me? They couldn't pull it off even if they wanted to. So this is a conversation that we have to have as a people, as a community. We have to establish what our values are first before we can gauge or measure whether somebody's high value or low value. And if our values are devoid of seeing our children as the future, right? Seeing as the women as the cornerstone of our community, of our family, of our nation, ultimately, right? And understanding that we got shit that we need to heal from, like for real. And in the midst of healing, you know, if for some reason we've been able to spare these children of trauma, we don't need to expose them to trauma just for them to realize that life is traumatic, potentially. You know what I'm saying? We still want to be able to preserve a paradigm of innocence for them, so they can actually live the life as children that we keep saying as adults that we didn't get a chance to live. You feel me? I want to give a shout out to my brother Carlo. We got these new Naga pieces and shit. You know, we got this indigenous Mayan, Incan, Aztec, Mayan Naga drip for all of my Nagas. You feel me? Yeah, but yeah, like, you know, what's higher value than unvaccinated sperm? What's higher value than unvaccinated blood? Don't let these niggas tell you different. You know what I'm saying? I would take that over an 800 credit score any day and work my way up. You feel me? We can't lose sight. We can't lose sight of the shit that's very valuable in our reality, in our society, in our world, in our community. You know, they just made a run on humanity, y'all. If you didn't notice, they try to make a run on that shit. They try to flip the switch. You feel me? And this consciousness, this level of consciousness, what they initially society told you don't value it because it doesn't have a place. It's not value. There's been no worth assigned to it. If you didn't have it, you would have not been able to survive what we just been through. So consciousness even has a different value nowadays because it all proved to be worthwhile. The shit that they were saying was crazy was actually the real shit that helped you
remain sane, right? And has allowed you to remain on this side of the ledger that still could be counted as quote unquote humanity, for lack of a better term, because we gods and goddesses. But that spark of light that we have that connects us to Creator, right? You nigga, you can never say I'm man-made. You feel me? These niggas out here is running around. Some of them are now man-made because they have a whole new DNA coding system that's fucking patented, right? Because some cracker owns it. And you want to talk about values? Nigga, you don't even own your genetic code, right? Where they do that at? Yeah. My man Rashad, he stayed down 10 toes. He was in Ghana. He got low. And he emerged with a kingship, right? That's value. That's value. That's value. Right? That's value that appreciates. He was recognized for his sacrifice. He was honored for his resilience. He got kingship. King. Feel me? That's the type of value I'm talking about. Salute. Hey, man. Let me get off this live. I need to add value to my clients by getting in this post office. Yeah. Bro got the Jabberwocky. You know what I'm saying? He got the Jabberwocky. But again, in the society that he belonged to, in the society that he was a mouthpiece for, in that particular world, again, because there's no pre-established understanding of what values actually means in a nation, in a society, amongst a people who are actually moving towards a collectivized vision, a goal, and objective, right? Because that's not pre-established, okay? Yes, you can go and get a jab and still consider yourself a high-value person, because in that world that you're looking to be accepted and exist in, the world that you are, speaking on behalf of, right? And that's the world the majority of our people still are included in. So, I'm not thumbing my nose to it and saying that, we can exist in many worlds simultaneously. There's aspects of myself that still exist in that world as well, but not enough where I'm willing to sacrifice who and what I am to coexist in that world, right? If I was given the choice of life over livelihood, I'm always going to choose life. Yes. So yeah, that is again, looking at the situation, saying that that demonstration is coming from someone who I identify as a anglicized African, you know what I'm saying, doing his best to fit into the American paradigm, Americanism, pledging allegiance to that particular demonstration. And there's a way to do that, right? There is a way to do that. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, it is it's devoid of the dynamic of culture that's actually going to insulate us and take us to whatever our collectivized vision is, to go beyond this American experience. Okay? And with that, I want to say peace, love, and light, y'all.